You won't believe what I'm about to tell you. Honestly, when I first heard it, I thought, no way, this has to be some crazy internet rumor. But then I saw it, the footage, the kind you can't unsee. Picture this. It's a dreary gray morning at Althorpe Estate. You know, Princess Diana's final resting place. It's an island, quiet, sacred, no reporters, no tourists. Just still water, tall trees, and the kind of silence you could almost feel in your bones. It's the sort of place where you'd expect whispers, maybe even tears, not laughter. And then, there she was, Queen Camilla, not announced. No big security parade, just a black car, dark coat, silk scarf pulled low. She walked slowly toward the grave, stood there for a moment. 32 seconds to be exact. Head bowed, hands clasped, looked like she was paying her respects. And then, it happened. She laughed. Not a nervous chuckle, not the kind of soft smile people do when they're holding back tears. No, this was an open, unapologetic laugh. And to make it worse, there was a little shrug, like victory. Next to her, an aide with a face like stone. No conversation, no sound. But those body language experts later, they said it all without saying a word. That clip, grainy, black and white from some old, supposedly disabled estate camera, leaked overseas. And within a day, it was everywhere. 20 million views in less than 48 hours. Headlines screamed, Camilla caught laughing at Diana's grave. Words like disgrace and unforgivable weren't just headlines. They were the mood. People lit candles outside Althorpe's gates. Strangers laid white roses. Comment sections turned into battlefield trenches. And the palace? Dead silent. But silence doesn't last in the royal family. Not when there are people who've been holding their tongues for years. And one of those people, well, he'd seen everything. Enter Gerald Withers, royal butler for 30 years. Served Diana's father, then Diana, and yes, Camilla too. Never spoke to the press before. Until now. Gerald swore this wasn't Camilla's first visit. He claimed she'd been there back in 2007. No security circus. Just her, one aide, and a sealed envelope she had placed on the grave. And then, Gerald swears she turned to her aide and said, "She may have had the people, but I have the palace." You're clutching your pearls already? It gets worse. A gardener said he once saw Camilla lay flowers face down, stems twisted. A maid remembered hearing laughter drifting back from the island when Camilla was there. And then, a housekeeper claimed they once found a torn photo of Diana at the grave. Half her face gone, burned it, thinking it was some sick prank. The whispers were always there, but no one dared speak them aloud, until that footage lit the match. And then William saw it. Now William is usually calm, polished, every inch his mother's son in public. But when he watched that clip in his private study, he didn't just frown, he played it again. And again. By the fourth time, he threw a folder across the room and ordered his car. That night, he stormed into Clarence's house. No aides, no Catherine, straight in the side entrance. And what happened inside? Sources say it was one of the most heated confrontations between father and son in modern royal history, shouting loud enough to echo down the halls. William accusing Charles, "You let her walk on Mum's grave and laugh. Do you even hear yourself anymore?" Charles tried to defend her, said the footage was misleading. William wasn't buying it. Meanwhile, across the ocean, Harry saw the clip too. Meghan read the headline to him. He just stared, went outside for over an hour, came back pale, told a friend quietly, "She wouldn't have wanted this. She deserved peace." And then, in a moment that hit harder than any headline, he said, "I failed her. We all did." Meghan's official statement? Dignity is not a memory, it's a duty. The internet ate it up. Still, Camilla stayed silent. For 72 hours, the fury built. Petitions calling to strip her title soared past 100,000 signatures. And then, finally, a video statement. She said she held Diana's memory with deep respect. That grief takes many forms. That her laugh was misinterpreted. It was polished, calm, theatrical. And the public? They weren't having it. Too little, too late. But just when it seemed like the storm might start to fade, boom. The sky cracked open. A journalist dropped a leaked audio recording, not from the gravesite itself, but from the car ride after, picked up by a dash cam mic. It starts with her laugh, clear as day, then her voice. She always loved a spectacle. Even in death, she's still getting the attention. I should have brought a curtain and some applause. A pause. The driver shifts uncomfortably. And then, colder. Well, she had her day. Now it's mine. By the time the clip finished spreading, Camilla's carefully rebuilt image was rubble, and the palace completely cornered. So here's where things get really uncomfortable. That leaked audio wasn't just a bad look, it was a direct hit to the monarchy's soul. And people inside the palace, they weren't just mad, they were remembering something chilling. Flashback to 2005. Queen Elizabeth sitting across from Charles at Balmoral. Rain threatening outside, tension brewing inside. Camilla had just married into the family. Charles was over the moon, finally married to the woman he'd loved for decades. But the Queen, oh, she wasn't smiling. She warned him, "You may wear the crown one day, but never forget who wore the heart of the people." And then the line that now feels like prophecy. If Camilla ever overshadows Diana, even in death, the public will never forgive her. Or you. Now, fast forward to the present. Headlines everywhere about Camilla smirking over Diana's grave. Audio of her mocking the woman millions still call the Queen of Hearts. It's like the Queen's ghost is hovering over the whole mess, shaking her head. And then enters Dr. Harriet Langford, royal historian. No fluff, no fear. She goes on TV and basically says what no palace aide would dare. Camilla's laugh wasn't about humor. It was about a rival. She called it the last note in a decades-long private war between two women, one chosen, one loved. She reminded the world of the 1970s. Young Charles meets Camilla, sparks fly. But the palace says, no, she's not noble enough. Too much past. He's sent abroad. She marries someone else. And then along comes Diana, 19, beautiful, the perfect choice for the role. Camilla becomes the other woman. Diana gets the love of the people. Camilla gets the scorn. For years, she's mocked in the press, blamed for breaking the fairy tale. And yet, quietly, she wins the war that actually mattered to the crown. She marries Charles, moves into Clarence House, then Buckingham Palace, and now she's queen consort. So when Camilla stood at that grave and laughed, maybe it was relief, maybe it was triumph, but it was definitely decades of resentment breaking the surface. And the public? Oh, they were done. The hashtag #sign strip her title was everywhere. It wasn't just trending, it was dominating. By midday, celebrities, politicians, and journalists were openly saying Camilla shouldn't wear a crown that once sat on Diana's head. Petitions hit record numbers. Even MPs started calling for a parliamentary debate. Outside Buckingham Palace, the protests started. Mourners turned protesters, clutching Diana photos and white roses. A little girl held a sign, "Diana forever, Camilla never." Inside, Charles was desperate. He called an emergency meeting. He wanted William to stand beside Camilla in public, to show unity. William's response? Calm, ice cold. She laughed at Mum's grave. "I won't defend that." And with that, the heir to the throne drew a public line between himself and the queen consort. Camilla vanished from public view. Clarence House blamed media misrepresentation, but no one was listening anymore. This wasn't just about a laugh, it was about Diana's legacy. And the fact that, in the eyes of millions, it had been spat on. And then, oh, this is the twist. You remember Gerald, the butler? He comes back for one last revelation. Windsor Castle, private chamber, 5 people in the room. Charles, William, Princess Anne, Harry, flown in from California, and Gerald standing at the head of the table with an old, weathered envelope. Gerald starts talking about the only day Diana and Camilla ever met alone in 1996. No press, no photographers, just them and him outside the door. It wasn't an argument, it was an ending. Diana looked Camilla in the eye and said, "I'm not your enemy. You just followed your heart, but mine was shattered to make room for yours." Then she handed Gerald an envelope. "If they ever try to turn me into a myth, remind them I was real." That envelope stayed hidden for 27 years, and inside, a letter from Diana herself. "If the day comes when my memory is mocked, let this letter remind you. My dignity never died. It lives in my sons, and if they forget, they will have lost me twice." The room went silent. Even Harry, who's been outspoken about everything, just sat still. And then Princess Anne, of all people, said, "She was wrong about one thing. We didn't forget. But maybe Camilla never stood a chance, and none of us were blameless." And that was it. No shouting, no royal decree, just a truth hanging in the air like heavy mist. Camilla's fate, still in limbo. But one thing's certain, the silence around Diana's grave, gone, shattered by a laugh, an audio clip, and decades of secrets finally clawing their way out. Now the question is, can the monarchy survive the shadow of a woman it never truly honored? Because if history repeats itself, and in this family it always does, it won't knock politely, it'll echo lightly.